everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Raise your hand if you think you need another weekend, because that weekend just slipped out of your hands. I am so physically and emotionally drained after what I did this past weekend. If you were on my Instagram stories, you know. If you didn't see it, you can go to my highlights on my profile and tap on the one called Home. What we did was move stuff out of my childhood home. So this house up in West Central Illinois, my mom and dad lived there, you know, all their married life. And then around the time when Biddy was like 5 months old, they had decided that they would move down here closer to us so they could, you know, see the grandchildren more. So they live in my town right now, but they've continued to own this house because it's just such a massive thing to think of letting go of. And I know early on after they'd moved, like there were more frequent trips back there to do things with it. But you know, several years ago when my dad had lymphoma, heart surgery, there was just so much going on down here that there was hardly ever a trip back. Then I think it was just kind of weighing on their mind, like we still have this house that we own and it's very sentimental and it's very special, but they just knew something's gonna have to happen with this soon, you know? And their neighbors to that old house are actually my aunt and uncle, and they decided they were interested in the house, and so keeping all furniture in, we just had to get rid of all the stuff, and a house that age accumulates a lot of stuff. My room was largely kept the way it was when I lived there, okay? So I showed a little bit about that on Instagram, but it was just a ton of stuff to go through, make quick decisions on. You're just back in your home environment. You're feeling sad that this isn't a place you're gonna come back to like it once was. Just very emotional. But at the same time, I know my mom and dad are experiencing some relief with just like, okay, this isn't a thing kind of hanging over our heads anymore. And this is happening during a time when folks are in good health as opposed to like some kind of crisis happened and now we gotta deal with the house. Do you know what I'm saying? So the timing was right, but it's just hard to say goodbye to those special places. And there were some times that I definitely broke down. I took a ton of pictures of things that I just never want to forget about, you know? I'll have to make some kind of little scrapbook. But the 5.5 hour drive gave me a lot of time to think. Bub and I both drove each of our vehicles so we could have a little more space to take some things back. But I was thinking about like makeup, of course, and I was thinking about how, you know, I'd gotten some more Catrice things recently because this brand intrigues me so much, with things largely being $10 or less. I did that video recently. What did I call it? Hits galore for $10 or less, full face of Catrice. Okay, that was a lot of Catrice. And the brand is very deep. They have a lot of different things. And I realized there were some other things I really needed to try. A foundation that I even talked about in that video that I wanted to be able to put on for you. And there's just some things I was really intrigued with. And so that called for another haul and another video now. So let's get going with that. Thanks for bearing with me through all the talk of my weekend. I'm just still pretty freshly emotional about it. So this will be good for me to get to talk about makeup a little bit. But we have a primer. It's a primer with gold flakes floating in it. Do you remember when there was a brand called Farsali and weren't they doing a primer? And I definitely remember the setting spray that you'd shake up and it had the gold flecks in it. This is called Glam and Gold Hydrating Primer. It was $10, but I just thought I'm intrigued. Catrice has a history of doing some pretty decent primers and I thought I'd try this. Now, I'm not sure how the gold is making a play. Actually, ooh, I think I see a tiny flake of gold. Why do I want that? What's it doing? Okay. Otherwise, it just feels kind of like a watery, liquidy, hydrating primer. Leaves my skin with some added moisture. Already had all my skincare on. And yeah, I don't have a for sure takeaway on this. It hasn't given me like bad staying power. I don't think it's contributed to a look in a problematic way since I've been wearing it. I'm not like, oh my gosh, that's the first time I noticed a possibility of a little bit of gold coming out on my skin. I just don't know why I'd really want that. Anyways, moving on. This was something I got in my first little haul, my Memorial Day sale haul. I repurchased the HD liquid coverage. I'd owned this before, and I know for a fact it has amazing staying power, and it continues to. I've worn this quite a bit now through the last couple weeks. My shade is Sand Beige, very good shade for me. It's mattifying, water and sweat proof, and it has niacinamide. They say it lasts up to 24 hours. Can't say I've tested it that long, but it definitely gets me through my days, and it's thin. Think like the staying power of the Maybelline 24-hour skin tint, but it doesn't have the luminous element. I could blend this with a sponge, or I think I'm just going to use my e.l.f. Duo brush since I don't have a sponge dampened right now. I'm just going to tap this in all around. The coverage is really nice. It's just, I feel like it's a good pick for summertime long wear because it does stay. Sorry, I had kind of a lot on my forehead there, more than I realized, and so I'm relocating that to other parts of the face. It's good for summertime long wear because it's that thin, lightweight texture that adheres and wears well, but doesn't have to have a thick look like some matte foundations. You see how good this is looking, blending in? Excuse my puffy eyes, bags under my eyes. I got a great night's sleep last night, but that's coming after several nights of kind of hustling around and trying to make the little trip happen. So there's this foundation, which does have a mattifying claim on top of a more juicy primer, you know? And it looks so good, really fresh, actually. But it could look less glowy, I think, if you didn't have a super hydrating primer underneath. Now, in the last haul, I had used my True Skin stuff, which I love this. This is a very hydrating foundation, and the concealer is really good, too. Like, good coverage, but thin. And I was interested in this one that I totally overlooked. This concealer called Instant Bright Serum Concealer. It says medium coverage, 18-hour long lasting. I think I've got the shade N200. This I don't like as well as True Skin. I'm just gonna say that. They do claim that medium coverage, so you're not going in expecting full, but I just don't like it quite as well. I'm gonna dab it around and we'll see what we get. Serum concealer. So in texture, like, it just feels really light, so I'll give it that. But the first time I used it, I felt like the coverage kind of disappeared on me. L'Oreal has a lightweight serum concealer product, and I still feel like it covers, like it hangs on. This is almost so thin. I just feel like it doesn't do all that much. Like, I've got some coverage there, but it's very, very light. My foundation has really nice coverage, so that's helping things. I think the first time I used it, I had something much lighter all over my skin and really didn't feel like I was getting much of anything. This helps a little because the foundation is doing more. But I don't know, if you're going for a great Catrice concealer, the True Skin is awesome, and it's still like not something that's going to feel heavy at all on you. But this is okay. We're doing all right here. Let's talk setting powders. I have one specifically for under eye and one that says Brighten Blur Loose Powder. I haven't used this one yet, but I have tried this in this little container, and I got the shade 10 Light Rose. This says With Squalane. I'm going to tap some into my cap here. It looks like lightly peachy pink. Let's put some on. It is brightening, and it claims to be. I can see it helping. I'm gonna add more. Can you tell where it is? Dabbing in, I'll dust away excess. Then I'll just take this Morphe Under Eye Bullet brush, and I can sweep away some of what's not really clinging. How do we look? I feel like actually I look pretty dry. In person, maybe it's not coming quite through on camera, but I look so very dry up in my under eye area. More so than with most other loose powders I've been using. I'm wondering if next time this just needs to be applied in a much lighter way, just with like a light little setting brush type of thing, not with the triangle puff. I don't know. And then we've got this Brighten Blur Loose Powder, which I have not tried at all. And I thought maybe a little bit of this all over just to see. Although I think this could be geared toward under eye setting too with the pinky tone. So here's a look at it. Super duper thin. This one might end up being a little better under eye option. I'll have to try that in the future. But for now, I'm just going to get like a light amount on a brush and dab around. Does that have a smell? Smells a little like vanilla. I added just a super light amount all over the skin, but I definitely want to try this on the under eye too to see if it does better than this one. But also, I didn't love the concealer either. So, see, Catrice has some really good stuff, but not absolutely everything's going to be a home run. I'd heard lots of good stuff about this Melted Sun cream bronzer, so I wanted to try one of these. I got the shade 20 Beach Babe, and it looks like this, just a nice little pan of creamy bronzer. It seems pretty similar to the texture of Milani's Cheek Kiss, only maybe a little less moisture in it. But I'm going to go in with my Sephora 56 brush and just start blending this in my contour type of zones. I do have an eye appointment this morning. Gotta get some more contacts, so gotta get my eyes checked first. This blends in really, really easily. So I'm picking up a small amount there on the brush. Maybe I could get a little more in case you can't see it very well. See it? Dabbing in, giving a slight buff. To anyone watching Days of Our Lives, how sad. Things have been so sad lately. The actor who plays John Black passed away, and they've been doing a whole funeral. Just very sad. Can't see Marlena crying anymore. It's giving kind of a radiance, you know, it is a cream, so it's not really surprising, but I can just see a little glow coming off of my skin where I've got that on. But I really can't complain about this. It blends super nicely. It's probably a little lighter shade than the one I used from Milani called Spicy Season. But yeah, no complaints on that. I like it. Another face thing that I was able to get this time is their Magic Shine Eraser Gel to Powder Mattifying product. This screams Mally Poreless Face Defender to me. Just with the whole claim of the product, you know, it's like a powder that's not powder. It's serving the powder function, but it's not a powder texture. As I put my finger into it, it feels pretty similar. I think the Mally's might have felt a bit drier to the touch, but ultimately, once you start touching it between fingers, you can feel it leave that cream state and go to just a smooth, practically powder feeling state. Maybe by the end of the video, once this has lived on my skin a little bit more, you can get an idea of what this does, but some other time I'll try to show it like for an actual oily skin late in the day touch-up type thing. For now, I need some blush. We're going hot pink since I've got my little hot pink sweater on. This is the Catrice Blush Affair Cream and Powder palette. So these are really cool. Getting the cream texture, the powder texture, they're really pigmented. They layer up for awesome staying power. Did I say this is Pleasing Pink, hot pink shade? I'm going to go into that cream with my Sephora 56, a different Sephora 56 than the last one I just used. And we'll dab that in on my cheeks. These are all really good. Even there's kind of a melon looking one, like a cantaloupe sort of color, a tone of peach that I don't often use, and even that looks pretty on. But there's a dusty rose, there's like a watermelon, a shade with this intensity of brightness, but it's got more red in it. Really great options. So here we are just pressing that in gently because I know I've got the powder layer coming. So the powder is just a matte full colored blush. Consider your blush locked in for the day. Oh, I love that. I did show in my Instagram stories my first ever little makeup desk that I used to use back in the old house. It was just a little like school desk. It's probably this wide and it had that compartment like over to the right side of your legs where there was a shelf and then a big open area. I kept a lot of my like coloring books and art stuff in there, but on top of the desk, I had a little lighted makeup mirror and just little baskets of my stuff. There's a built-in kind of ledge over that area, and I don't think there was a time that I was living there that there wasn't something lined up. I loved lining stuff up, so like I'd line up little perfumes or I'd line up little trinkets or whatever. I remember Mom always commenting on how I always liked to have things out, and if she would ever straighten up my room, she'd like tuck them away in a drawer or something, and then out they would come again. I'm gonna bust out my brows real quick, and then we got a few more products to discuss. Brows are done. Eyes are primed with Wet n Wild Mega Last Eye Primer. The first Catrice video, I used the Hot Mocca palette right here with the warm browns, rich tones. The other palette I had that has not yet been used is the Pure Nude, and then more recently I got the Dark Cocoa because I thought you got to try that for the rich browns. I wore that recently. Oh, I gotta scan back through all my house pictures to show you. It's a beautiful, very classic neutral look, and the shimmers are really pretty. They're thin, but a couple of these in this Dark Cocoa palette are super sparkly, but it's very concentrated. Like, it's really well done, and I can't get over the fact that these are $6. So I have to use that one in a video sometime. Today I'm doing the Pure Nude because this one needs to be investigated as well. Here we've got some softer tones, cooler tones, and I'm just interested to see if I'm thinking this is going to be dark enough. You know what I mean? Shimmers, as you maybe can tell, are here, here, down here in this wide pan, and that one. I'm starting here for my crease. This little like kind of stone colored matte. And I'm just going to get to blending that. I don't want to be like too heavy with the eyes, like I'm getting an eye exam. Fortunately, I don't think my eyes have changed at all. I'm not going in with a complaint, I guess. I just need to get the eye exam so I can order new contacts. What do made up eyes look like on the other side when they've got like your eye all zoomed in? Anybody's lashes probably look like tarantulas. There's got to be an eye doctor listening to this who can tell me how scary it looks on the other side. Oh, I found 2 old diaries from between the years of 4th grade through 7th grade. Oh, I didn't want them to end. I didn't fully fill them out. They were only like no more than a dozen entries in each of them. I could tell I started it with the best of intentions, like I'm gonna be one who writes in a diary. And I wrote inside the cover, if anyone is looking in this, get out now. And yeah, I spilled some tea in there. I really want to read aloud some of the things that I wrote. Also, last night I was reading Mom a ton of these like 3rd or 4th grade writing assignments. Oh my gosh, they're hilarious. One of the writing prompts you could tell was a time you felt special, and it started really sweetly and ended with the death of an animal on the road with an illustration of that. There's just so much to dig into. You know, I want to try this shade here too. This did good, by the way. That's nice. Nice little easy crease. But come up here. These $6 palettes make you think Morphe's got all these $15 and $20 ones. These are really good, but they're basic. And there's still more I haven't gotten, but these $6 guys. That's a nice little blurring shade. I'm glad they gave a big pan of that. That's nice. Blurring it out. We do have a matte cream right here. You can see a little excess is tapping off. You know, they're soft. It's okay, I'm not mad about it. Let's take a little shimmer. Doot doot. Let the brow bone shine. Why not? Just as long as it's blended, it's okay. Now to answer the question on everyone's minds, exactly how dark is that dark shade? Morphe M303 flat brush, dipping in. Oh, that's plenty dark. Why was I looking at this thinking maybe this won't be dark enough? This is good. Oh, that looks so nice. Just a little bit. Not really much excess is tapping off there. And then we're tapping on the outer lid. You know, in my mind, the 90s and early 2000s are not as far away, you know, as I know they actually are. But to me, it still feels like we were in the 90s 10 or so years ago. I know it makes no sense. I have a 10-year-old, but man, I love those days. I was really reminded of some good times when reading my younger writing. I was actually pretty funny. I don't know if I realized at that time how funny I was being, but it was good stuff. There was this other story about how, oh, mom and dad were doing this, pup was doing this, so my brother was left to take care of me, and we went and got groceries, and he let me get as much candy as I wanted to get, but then when we got home, he made me eat a gross gravy pot pie. Go off. I'm going back into this shade that I first put in my crease. I'm just kind of using it on the edge of that darkness, slash just blending it into the darkness, you know? Soft. This is very everyday. This is very, like, would suit a lot of people, especially if you appreciate the cooler looks and maybe you don't want it to be a full-on gray, but you just like your browns to be cooler. Super classic here. Classic kind of shadowy eye. Bisky, what you doing, hun? We're gonna put something on the lid. I wanna see how one of these shimmers works. Here's your big one. Ooh, taupe lovers. Check that out. There's a really light pearly shade we highlighted with that. There is a soft gold in here to take it in a slightly different direction. It's not brassy at all. And then down here, among the browns, there is a brown shimmer. I'm going to take this one right here. Nice little easy taupe. Oh, it reminds me of that single from L'Oreal. What was it called? Bronzed Taupe or something? Giving a sheen, not contrasting too hard with the other shades. The pearl or the gold would be even brighter in this area. Or you could keep it all matte and just go with the matte cream. You got options, but I like this palette. I've really enjoyed all three of the palettes I've tried. One of them just wasn't on camera, that hot cocoa one, or dark cocoa. They're just very high-end feeling palettes. And then I got this Catrice Highlighting Hero Duo Pencil. So very brightening here. I'm not gonna put any in my lower inner rim because I was once told not to at the eye doctor, even though I sometimes do. But I've had sticks like this before. The shade I picked up is called Daylight. You can use it on eye and face. So there's a really shimmery side, and then there is a matte kind of pinky toned side. I might take a little of the shimmer. The shimmer side is a little dry feeling, like it doesn't lay down quite as easy as some of my shadow sticks, I'll say that. We added a little shimmer under the brow. One way it might be nice to use a pencil like this is to take that matte end and put it on your waterline if you're feeling especially dull. Hi. Saw you coming this time. How you doing, Biddy?
Yes, it's just bright.
She found one of my old stuffed animals. It's a little mouse with a cape and a crown. She was calling it Rat King for a while. I said it's a mouse. Okay, it's a mouse. This is something I really needed to try, the Curl Freeze Lash Styling Gel. They're calling it a lash styling gel, but it's a dark toned, like, lash primer. Like, could this dupe Little Black Primer? But actually, you look at the formula, and it's crazy. It does have some sort of a transparent quality to it. Like, if you look at it at the tip and hold it up to the light, like, what are you? I'm swatching it on my hand. It is kind of like a transparent yet dark toned product. I used it once. I didn't notice it doing much for my curl holding, but it made the mascara I put on top a little bit clumpier. I don't know. It did some thickening. And then past this, I have a lip color. Curl Freeze Lash Styling Gel. Use after lash curler is all it says. Milky black tint. So I want you to see it going on. See if you can see the product. See it kind of just slipping through my lashes? But I would never expect a lot out of a priming type of step. A lot of them don't look like they're doing much. So putting it on my curled lashes. So here's how it's looking. Just swiped it through. I think you can probably tell something's on there. I can tell it's not dry, so I'm going to let it just hang out there for a little bit and go on with the lip product, and then I'll layer a mascara on top. So I got this product. This is weighty. This feels expensive. This is the Hawaiian Blossom Glow. It says lip balm with hibiscus oil, stains the skin. This kind of is like having Benetint in a stick form, not a liquid. So this is what it looks like. And it goes on with that immediate look of a stain. Smells really good. Like just a little bit sweet and fruity. I would have to say it's a little more pinky than traditional Benetint, but I know they have some pink variations. But it feels good. It feels balmy, but not really slippery, not overly slick, but immediate staining effect on the lips. If you like the idea of a thin, weightless kind of stained look, but you don't want to mess with the liquefied product, it's available in a stick format. So my lashes are just sitting there with this product on. I think it's set at least a little bit. And then let's try topping it off with this other Catrice mascara that I actually really like on its own. It's the Pure False Lash Beyond Black Mascara in Fiber Black. This was great. I love the brush. Little bit tapered toward the tip and a curve, and this was the one that really like grabbed the lashes. You felt like it was getting in contact with everything, and as you swept it through, it was just doing its job, you know? So now we're gonna see if that curling primer makes it do even more, or is this primer just about holding a curl in the lashes? I can tell by the feel of the application that that primer has had a chance to dry down a bit. I'm not getting the clumpy effect like I did with the last mascara I put on top of this. I think I used the e.l.f. Incredi-Curl on top of it last time, and the effect was not the best. This is doing a little better. See that one coat? I'm already noticing a little drop in the curl. Not completely, it's just, they're getting a little weighed down. It's a fine line with my lashes. They want to go down. They want to be a little bit snuffleupagus. This mascara is good, but she's just good on its own. I'm going to have to keep trying this little priming step with various things and just seeing how it works out. I haven't totally lost the curl, but my lashes certainly look bigger now at this point. I think this one is to be continued. There are just so many potential combinations out there, different mascaras that could be layered on top, and I just feel like there's probably a really good one that's going to mesh well. This one from Catrice worked better with it than the e.l.f. did the other day. And now we also have this Magic Shine Eraser that I was talking about. So obviously makeup that's been freshly applied, it's still looking pretty good and pretty fresh, so I don't have a lot to correct, but I just want to show you the way I would use this. Here's your opportunity to use a dry sponge. Like so often we're like, you got to wet the sponge, get it saturated, you know, squeeze it out. No, use a dry sponge, kind of twist it into the product, tap it in, and then let's see, is there anywhere on my skin where you can really see some shine? Dab over it with this and it will immediately mattify. So this is probably the closest thing to Mally's Poreless Face Defender that I've ever tried. And then you can touch your skin and it won't feel tacky unless you were like super tacky feeling underneath this. But like I'm going over my cheek. Can you see how this cheek is kind of mattified now? Just tapping in with a sponge and then tap onto the skin. It's a tapping motion, loves. Tap, tap, tap. See that? Like, it really does what it says it's gonna do. It's interesting. It's fun. I could show a more profound effect from it if I waited till later in the day and then threw some on. That might be good for a little quick video. But yeah, Catrice, it's a fun makeup brand to try. Nothing's going over the $10 mark that I got in this video. Immediate hits We know we like this, the HD liquid coverage. That was from the original haul, and I love it. I think it's great. I don't think the Glam and Gold Hydrating Primer is a total must. It's nice, but it's not like wow. I do not like the Instant Bright Serum Concealer as well as the True Skin, so finding out some things. The Under Eye Brightener Setting Powder, I think it made my skin look kind of dry immediately, but I'm eager to try the Bright and Blur in the same area, so we'll see on that. Enjoyed the Melted Sun Cream Bronzer, very good stuff. This is something I've had on hand and talked about before, but their Duo blush products are dope. The $6 eye palettes, can't go wrong if you are one who likes that classic kind of shadowed eye. Eye taking a back seat, you know, in the whole makeup look, not looking too loud, but just really appropriate for any occasion. You might like that Pure Nude one. This Duo pencil is a little bit dry feeling, but I'm still gonna work with it some in the future. Staining lipstick, basically, if you want that Benetint type of effect, pinky toned, but in a stick, you might look into this. I wonder if there's one that's actually a little more reddish than this, because this is very pink, but that works for my look today, so that's good. Not totally sure on the lash styling gel, the Curl Freeze. I'm gonna keep playing with that some. This mascara is great. It's called Pure False Lash, and I really enjoy that. And I think this is, you know, while it's a complete copycat type of product of Mally's, but it's very, very good, and it's very close to what Mally's is, because the flaw in a lot of products over the years that have tried to be like that have just been a little too goopy in the pan, a little bit too much like moisture coming off with the whole thing. And this one seems to really recreate that effect of blurring the skin a little bit, mattifying it, but doing that job without being a powder texture. So that's what I got for today, friends. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.